All righty, what's up, everybody? Good afternoon. Almost said good morning. Oh, it's evening. Good evening. I don't even know what day it is. Whoa! I hear myself. Afternoon. Almost said good. BOGO Mike. Sponsored by Publix. All right, hey, good evening. This is a special evening live edition of our Daily Brew. We do these when there's stuff in the tropics close to home, wherever you call home. And just want to give everybody an update, quick update. We'll be live in the morning. We do a long show in the morning, and I say hello to everybody. So tonight won't be a lot of hellos, won't be a lot of questions. We'll end it over in the Brew Crew chat. Appreciate all of our Brew Crew supporters. Obviously, they help do what we do. So we'll be over there for a little bit. We were there about 10 minutes early before we went live, but I'm going to go over the latest and greatest, whatever we happened today from our morning brew. Nothing huge has changed. We just got the new 8 o'clock advisory out. And I want to share that with you. This one just came out. And we'll talk about that GFS. We got some crazy model data, but so, yeah, listen, I'm going to just spit it out there where we're at, give you a couple thoughts, just give you today's model runs. We've had a lot of model runs, a lot of ensembles, kind of give you an update on where things are going, where we're at. And by overnight, we'll get a ton of information. The hurricane hunters are going to start heading out maybe tomorrow and Thursday to get data. So this thing's happening fast, and it's still sloppy. It's still nothing to worry about, especially in the Caribbean. I get a lot of folks asking me questions in the Caribbean. Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Windward Islands, Lesser Antilles, all that area, this thing is not going to develop anytime soon. It's going to take its time, and time is not on its side, the one big negative. So we'll get into all that. But hey, the 8 o'clock just came out, and if you haven't heard, we have a tropical depression. You heard it here first. And I'm holding it in my hand. Oh, I got you. This is actually called tropical depression. Tropical depression. So, tricked ya. I might have one of these later tonight after we're done. That's from my good friends at Tampa Bay Brewing Company. Available at ABC Fine Wine and Spirits. Not even open. Gotcha. We don't have one of those yet. Only in my hand. It's a great IPA. All right. Here's the latest. Came out this o'clock, 8 o'clock. There's a new little circle thingy. Let's put it up. There you go. No big changes. 60%. Sloppy. The arrow is the area that it's going to be moving, and they're not expecting development until possibly around Cuba and the Bahamas. So the big old orange hatched area. Oh, that's 116. Darn it. Hold on a minute. They did change it a little bit. There we go. There we go. Rewind. The hatched area is where they expect some sort of development. Okay. They did push it a little bit more west. They pushed it a little bit more east. They basically don't know what's going to happen. Touching the coast of the Carolinas now, that's deceiving. This is not the cone that you normally see. This is the area that they expect development. Okay, so Carolinas, Georgia, don't think that you're out of the woods just yet, because there's some modeling I'm going to show you that are actually pointing your direction. This is only not where the storm is expected to go, just where they believe that the system could develop. And then we'll have the actual cone, 3-day cone, 5-day cone. This is where they think it could develop. So what they saying, large tropical wave, huge tropical wave, development slow to occur. However, conditions expected to become more conductive late this week in the vicinity of Greater Antilles, Bahamas. Interest, including the southeast U.S., should monitor the progress of this system. So they are telling you, Bahamas and southeast U.S., you should monitor this. And if you don't agree, you can email them. All right, so there's the latest cone. That one just came out. The cone of development. That's what we'll call it. The cone of development. I'm still at stage 2, cautiously curious, because nothing is ever set in stone in the tropics. Let me show you some of the stuff here, all right? This is the precipitable water map. This is the area that was chasing our wave. It is now past our wave, pulling up our wave. And now look at this. Would you look at this big old thing there? Looky right here. Boom. That little spot right there. We're getting moisture fed in there. We're getting this wrapping around here. We're starting to see this thing trying to consolidate. And you can kind of see this wave now getting pulled up into our, I think it's more like a middle low, 500 millibar low. And it's broke free of the intertropics conversion zone. So now it's becoming independent and could develop. There's our little spot. So kind of a clear little spot there, about 53 degrees. And if you go over here to the latest NHC map, and it's about 55, 56 degrees. So then that map might be a little off as far as the latest updates. So this thing might have moved us a little bit more. But this is basically what the NHC is calling center now. Here's a look at it on Weather Nerds. A lot more thunderstorms than we saw last night. Last night we saw none. We saw this big old dry air wrapping in. Now we're starting to see signs of thunderstorms a little more than this morning, okay? So it is trying to get its act together. And you're seeing some of these pulling down from that energy to the north. You're seeing this pull in from the bottom. You're seeing it wrap around the backside here. So you're basically seeing things trying to get going. These take a lot of time. These just don't happen overnight. Not expecting development until somewhere here. And somewhere here is Friday. So we got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before really any true development. Okay? But it's happening. It looks fairly good compared to last night as far as trying to develop. Last night we saw Zippo. Tonight we're seeing a little bit more activity. Water vapor loop here on Weather Nerds. You can see it try to pop in here. You'll see a little bit more break here. No more of that dry air. We're starting to see lightning bolts. Lightning. These little yellow dots are lightning bolts. So that's a sign of deepening, lowering pressures, and thunderstorms are starting to rise. Here's another look, same one. This is a lower level. This is an upper level low here below Cuba. Don't worry about that. But all this moisture that we've been seeing, this frontal line that we saw is now all above it. This is going to be pulling into this, helping fuel it. All this moisture now is taking over. All this dry air is disappearing. So there's going to be plenty of moisture in the atmosphere for this thing to try to get going. Interestingly enough, here is your 72-hour surface chart, and they're showing it actually kind of in an odd spot, honestly. Just letting everybody know that it's not 100% the euro right now. The euro's got the east trend, which I'm going to show you, has actually bounced a little bit back west. But this is official NOAA surface charts for 72 hours, and they're showing possible tropical cyclone kind of right there in the gap, which is interesting, when most of the model is a little to the north. So that's where they think it's going to be. And remember, weaker west, any farther west, this thing is not guaranteed to go out to sea. But if this was the case here, we'd have a lot of mountain, a lot of mountain interactions. It would disrupt the center a lot over these mountains. So it could help slow the, development down. Eastern Cuba has a lot of mountains too. But anyway, I thought that was interesting to show. That's the official where they think it's going to be Friday. And last little model here before we get into the real models. This is your 500 millibar. This is just kind of showing you where I think it's trying to set up. And this is almost where the NHC is at, 55 degrees. So this is kind of where it looks like it's starting to take shape. Surface low to the south is getting pulled up into it. So, all right, enough of that. So what's steering this thing? All right, so Friday it should be somewhere, here around the Bahamas. We have a dipping frontal line. This is showing up clear as day. We have a high pressure building back in. And that's been the talking point you've heard from me for a long time now. How fast this builds back in is going to determine how far west this goes. And we're starting to see a little sign that maybe the high is going to be a little stronger than they thought, because the 12Z euro is a little bit more to the west than it was overnight. Important trend that we're going to see tonight, if that continues or not, because it doesn't. I mean, we are so close to an East Coast skirt of Florida and some sort of effect in the Carolinas that every little wiggle wobble and however strong this high pressure ends up being is going to mean a lot. So nothing is certain tonight. Is what I'm hopefully you get out of this. Timing, I put this together earlier. This was based on the other N8C cone, but it's still pretty much the same. Friday, somewhere in the gap here between Cuba and Hispaniola. That's exactly where the surface chart's at. Somewhere Saturday, it's going to be going fast right now. Going back here to our trade winds, it's going to be a fast-moving system. You can see that. This middle level is moving pretty darn quick. This is why it caught up to our wave and passed it. At one time, our wave was here. This thing was way over here. Well, it eventually overtook our wave, and so it's going to be fast moving until it reacts. And usually, systems, when they react to a turn, they slow down. Plus, we have a little bit of signs of a high pressure coming into play that could slow down a little bit. But that's down the road. But anyway, there's your time frame. And it's hard to draw exacts because even though it's Friday here, Friday PM, we could start to see rains all the way up here, even though like PM might be here. So it's tough to say Friday AM, PM. It's just a generalization. Saturday could be, all that. If it's strong and over here, it could be like that. And we could have nothing on the West Coast. So there's no guaranteed washout for anybody. The timing of the center is pretty consistent though. GFS, I ain't even talking about the GFS. It is out there, out to lunch. But I'm going to show you the GFS because it's got its own thinking right now, what's going on. And there's a couple other models that support it. And honestly, if these other models are right, Sunday would be here too. So I did this graphic the other day and I put Sunday here, Sunday here. So it's really the same idea. This whole line, wherever it's at, would be like that. So, and then Monday it starts to turn, if it does turn, Monday and then Tuesday. Hopefully that gives you an idea of timing. Now, last night's European. So the reason I'm showing you European, a lot of people think European's king. It's been very consistent with this East Coast hook on the east side of Florida into the eastern part of the United States. The big change I think that we need to really pay attention to close is the 12Z compared to the overnight. This is the fresh ones today. These are overnight. Quite a few more have basically shifted. Now the core, it's hard to see, but let's say the core was here. Well, let's say the core now is here. So we did see a decent little shift west. And then last night we had very few touching the Carolinas, and now we have quite a few that are actually going straight. And that's because this high pressure is building a little stronger, making this thing possibly go a little bit more to the north. So big change from last night. Now we'll see what it is overnight. These things wiggle wobble. It can go back the other way. We don't know that. But it'll be very curious to see overnight if the euro actually bumps a little bit more to the west. And look at the telltale sign is this right here. The euro doesn't know where in the heck this thing is going to develop its center. A development of the center here, obviously. The development of center here, obviously. So it all comes down to a lot of it where this thing develops at. So an interesting little trend. Another thing, though, intensity. I'm going to show you a graphic with barrel. Don't get too caught up on the intensity right now. However, the longer it would go in the Atlantic, the stronger it's going to get. And that's almost a guarantee. So, longer to develop down here, less chance of anything too strong down here. but cautiously curious. High tide and a new moon on the 4th, which is Sunday, could definitely be a big factor as this thing approaches on the East Coast. So we do have a new moon on August the 4th. So we'll keep an eye on this overnight. All y'all wondering about that GFS. This is the GFS Ensembles, the 12Z. So in order to have confidence in an operational run, you would need to see 31 ensembles supporting it, and we don't see that. We see 6 or 7 or 8 out of 31. So let's say 20% of the GFS models are even showing anything, and the ones that do show anything, most of them are over here. But yet the GFS is doing, but look, not one ensemble is doing that. And trust me, in the past, when we don't have any ensemble support of its own members, then that operational run should be thrown out the window. Just what I've seen. So the GFS ensembles are not supporting that wacky West concept right now. We'll see about that, right? Here are your main operational runs for today. We'll show you the latest. 18Z is running now. Hopefully we might be able to get it somewhat 72 hours. It goes out 72 hours. Broad low here. So, you know what? That's pretty interesting. Look at this. This is really interesting. This is exactly where the surface chart is on the latest analysis. So this is the 18Z. This just came out, but you can see it's detected vorticity right here. A lot of land wouldn't be developed quite yet, but if this thing develops and moves there, that's different. So all y'all that said this is out to sea, not going to affect anybody, you never say never in the tropics, okay? But this is interesting. This is where, right here, you can follow the wind bars. This is where the current Euro 18Z believes this is going to be Friday midday. And remember, Friday midday, we're going to still see moisture pumping up around this thing. So, it doesn't mean you're not going to get any rain in South Florida on Friday. This is just the core. But that's intriguing. That one just came out. The 12Z placement was kind of the same. A little to the north, actually. So we might see another little trend west with the euro. But anyway, this is what it looks like. It stops there at 72 hours. 12Z basically develops this thing in the Gulf Stream and keeps it off the coast of Florida, gets it awfully close, and develops it in that Gulf Stream, gets it awfully close to the Carolinas there, and that would be Monday morning and into Tuesday morning there. So that's been the theme of the euro, but I'm cautious again. I'm thinking that's definite if we keep seeing these ensembles bounce a little bit more to the west. But remember, any sort of land interaction down here, it's going to take its time to develop. So, chances of anything in South Florida too strong right now are just looking, slim. Unless this thing rides right on the north side of Cuba and uses up this hot water. Tomorrow morning we'll go into all the variables that controls these things. Tonight I wanted to try to keep it 30 minutes, and we're already at 22. Latest Canadian 18Z or 12Z, basically showing sloppy mess through Florida and some sort of development maybe off the coast of Carolina on Monday morning. So the CMC's kind of not doing much. The latest icon showing you a broad low here and right off the coast of Florida, and this is the 18Z, kind of hugging that Gulf Stream and possibly impact in Carolinas, maybe. But this is setting up a little bit north of what the current thinking is from NOAA. So that any little ticks west is really going to change this trajectory. So looking at all these now, here's that GFS. It just makes no sense whatsoever. The GFS pops up as low on Monday. I don't even know if it's the same system, and I don't think it's the same system actually. I think it's lingering into that front, and it spits it up. So there is a front that's coming down Sunday. It should turn this thing off to the northeast. The GFS has been kind of picking up a piece of that and bringing it. So that's just wacky, man. I don't know, but it's worth showing you. It's been real consistent. But again, I don't think it's the actual system we're watching. I think it's leftover frontal line here that actually gets going and then kind of shoots off. See, the 12Z hardly showed it, so just take it for a grain of salt right now until we start seeing others doing it. It's not very likely, but it's one worth showing. But I'm not buying it yet, that's for sure. Now, we got a couple other models I want to show you. The UK still showing a more of a west. It's a little bit more realistic down here where the Euro is, and it's basically showing it trying to develop here off the coast of Florida. Now this is weak, but again, we don't look at intensity too much this far out. We just look at steering patterns and ideas. And the UK has been trending a little bit on that Western Gulf. And a few days ago, we saw a lot of models doing that same thing. So it's not a lot of wiggle room across the state of Florida. But that was interesting. The other model that we watch on this side is the KMA Korean model, which is the 12Z, kind of does the same thing. And it does. The only reason I'm showing this one, it did pretty good last year. It was probably right 2 out of 3 times. So just showing you that the East Coast thing is not 100% yet. There's that. So there's that. Steering currents are big. Let's look at the Euro, 500 millibar. And where we're at now, there's a big high, there's a little low coming. This little low coming down on Friday is going to lift our system up, and there's our system. Highs building back in place on Sunday, and depending on how strong this high is how west our system goes. This is a definite classic, opening in the atmosphere, high pressure, and this is curving to the weakness around this high pressure. So we're watching this high, and they're all showing it. It's just going to be a matter of if that high builds in a little quicker than they expect, then it's going to go a little bit farther west. And remember, the Euro is not the only model, and it didn't do good with Barrel, and it missed Irma initially too. So the Euro is not always right. That's for sure. And here I want to show you this too real quick, just for fun. I just came out this afternoon. This is a long-range tropics map. I'll show you more in detail tomorrow, but basically showing you, obviously, August, we got storms, highly confident storms. That's just based on history. 40% chances of some more storms, or whatever. This is a Barrel image that I pulled up. This was back, this was run the 26th of June. And the point of this is this. The point is the operational models always have a hard time on intensity of a developing system. So obviously, the Windward Islands were hit with a Cat 4, and on June 26th, for July 1st, July 2nd, the Euro predicted a 990, the GFS a 992, the Canadian 991, the UK wasn't even showing it, KMA was showing 999, the Icon was barely showing it. So, but if you watch enough of what I do here on our Daily Brew, placement was spot on. All 5 of these models, 5 days out. But the intensity was way off. Way off. Like, majorly way off. All 5. 6 models. So I don't put too much stock in intensity models. There's got to be common sense. And I'm going to go over that in the morning with the MJO, the water temps, the shear. So, the Gulf Stream. So, don't think just because the Euro is showing a 980, 990 doesn't mean, this is for the Carolina coast, for example. We are getting a lot of the European ensembles showing 980, 990. But that's more concerning to me right now than anything because it's going to have a couple days over water. So basically, don't let your guards down. This thing could be ticking a little to the west. There's no guarantees from what I see today, if that makes sense. So, all right, and that's about it. I wanted to go 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes. Tomorrow we will interact a lot, I promise. I just wanted to give you the latest updates. 8 o'clock just came out. It's still at 60%. That's all you really need to know. National Hurricane Center is the official source, and everything I show is speculative and not official. So that's what we do. But there's a ton of stuff coming out overnight tonight that we'll be posting first thing in the morning when I get up around 5 o'clock. And we'll have a new 2 o'clock advisory showing a new track. We'll have all these models will be running overnight, and we'll have an eyeball look at the satellite. All right. So hope to see you in the morning, 9:19 Eastern. It'll be very important tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. 2 days away from potentially developing near Bahamas. So we should start to see things developing because time is not on this system side in the next couple days. So it ought to start popping pretty quick. Otherwise, Florida should start breathing a sigh of relief unless it drifts into that Gulf and goes up north or hangs on the Gulf Stream and drifts up to the Carolina coast. So just because some folks are breathing a sigh of relief possibly, then there's others now that could be affected a day or two later. All right. All right, have a great evening, everybody. We'll see you in the morning, all right?